Hi.
Say hey, everybody.
Hey, everybody.
Say happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday.
All right, tell them bye.
Happy Dad.
Happy Sunday. Happy
Alright.
Halloween.
Happy
When it's
Halloween.
Bye.
All right. As you can tell, we are still in the Halloween spirit. Now it's time to get ready for Thanksgiving. And of course, then Elizabeth's favorite holiday is Christmas. So that will be here before I know it. But today, I'm glad you all are joining us. We are finishing up our series on the fruit of the Spirit. And so that means we're going to talk about the last fruit, which is self-control. And like always, we are going to start this devotional with the verse in Galatians, verses 22. But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. Against such things there is no law. The definition of self-control is the ability to control oneself. In particular, one's emotions and desires or the expression of them in one's behavior, especially in difficult situations. The ability to control oneself. I don't know about you, but I know a lot of people that do not have self-control. Are you one of those people? As Christians, this is a quality we are called to have. So let's look at some scriptures that talk about self-control. We're going to start in Proverbs 25, verses 28. And it says, a man without self-control is like a city broken into and left without walls. So I want to take this verse and put it in human terms, in today's terms. So the Bible says a man without self-control is like a city broken into and left without walls. Let's put this into the human body. This verse says if we have no self-control, we have no protection. We are vulnerable. And we are inviting the enemy to attack us. With no self-control, we are in constant danger of being led to ruin by our desires and constant vulnerability to passions. We all know people who lack self-control. Maybe you're one of them. I struggle with it at times, especially in certain areas. And a lot of people think, oh, self-control is just my temper. Self-control is when I can control when someone really offends me and I don't fly off the handle. And as we see later on in here, there's a lot that goes into self-control. Yes, temper is part of it, but there are other things that go into self-control that we have to have control. And I like this devotional because it's about self. It's only I can do it. Matt can't do it for me. I can't do it for Matt. I can't do it for my kids. They can't do it. No one else can do this for you. This is 100% you. So you have total control of what you're going to be in control of, or your self-control. So that was in, I think that was Proverbs. I lost my place. Sorry. So we're going to jump to Acts chapter 24, verses 25. And we see that Paul is talking to Felix about self-control. But Felix, having a rather accurate knowledge of the way, putting them off, saying, when Lysis the tribune comes down, I will decide your case. Then he gave orders to the centurion that he should be kept in custody but have some liberty, and none of his friends should be prevented from attending to his needs. After some days, Felix came with his wife Drusilla, who was Jewish, and he sent for Paul and heard him speak about faith in Christ Jesus. As he reasoned about righteousness and self-control and the coming judgment, Felix was alarmed and said, go away for the present. When I get an opportunity, I will summon you. So out of all the things that Paul could have talked about while he was waiting his trial, while he was in their prison and contained, however you want to say it, while he's waiting to be let go, he gets to preach to them. He gets to talk to these people. He could talk about anything he wanted, and he talked about self-control. Why did he choose self-control? It was something these people did not have. Did they listen to Paul? No, but he still told them, and we need to do the same. Even though people may not listen to us, we need to tell them how to be a Christian. And we should show them how to live as a Christian by our example. So, you've always heard, I'm going to tell them and they don't listen anyway. That's kind of the spot Paul was in. Paul needed to tell them about self-control because they were doing all the wrong things. but they didn't listen. But still, they heard it. They just chose not to follow it. We go down to Titus chapter 2, verses 6. Likewise, urge the younger man to be self-controlled. We all know that this particular text is talking about the qualifications of a leader in the church, but I think it applies to everyone. And I kind of look at those list of qualifications and I put myself in there. I put my name in there. And if I meet all of those expectations, then I'm on a pretty good road to being a good Christian. Now I understand that I cannot be a leader. Do what a male is supposed to do in the church, and that's not what I'm getting at. But I think that I can still take those same qualifications and apply it to me. And the Bible tells us, we're talking about self-control. It's a fruit of the Spirit, and it tells us, urge the younger men to be self-controlled. I think that can go for us too. We all need to be self-controlled. The lack of self-control will make one ineffective and unproductive in spiritual matters. So I also think this applies to non-spiritual matters as well. Overall, just having self-control is very, very important. Now, if we don't have self-control, let's go back to that temper. If we don't have self-control, and we are, this, of course, nobody listening to this is a leader of the church because we are women. But let's take our husbands or our brothers or our spouse, whatever male in your life, grandparent, whatever, and they're a man and they meet a qualification, they're a leader in the church, but they have a terrible temper. Are people going to go to that person? And let's just take Matt. I feel like I'm going in circles. So let me just use Matt because all of you all know Matt. If Matt flew off the handle every time you went up to him with a problem, if he didn't listen to you, if he had no control of his tongue, if he talked bad language all the time, or if he just talked down people all the time, not nice, the tone in his voice, would you go to him? Would you go? And people in the church are supposed to be approachable. Us as Christians, we are supposed to have that willingness to be able to help everybody, but nobody's going to come to us if we're ugly. So again, I think that's why it's important in the church. We have to have self-control. And also I think, and I don't know, being a preacher's wife kind of slants this a little bit, but when there is a confrontation in the church, whether it be about a biblical matter, whether it be about just hurt feelings between people, but when there is confrontation, I think it's very, very important for everybody to have self-control. Because if you just have a bunch of hotheads getting together, nothing's going to be solved. If you have that self-control, and sometimes it's hard. It is hard when someone comes up to you and they are saying, you did this, you hurt me, you said this in a wrong way, you didn't do this right. It's very hard to keep your self-control in check. And at least for me it is. But if someone comes up and says, hey Paula, in your devotional you said this, but I take it as this, or I think you mistook, or you took something out of context, or you read the wrong verse. If you say it nicely, then I'm not going to get offended. I shouldn't get offended. I should be willing to understand. And that's self-control on both parts, but it's self-control on my part because, okay, somebody came to me, they disagreed with something I said, I misquoted something, I read something wrong. That's where my self-control comes in, and I can't just fly off on them and say, well, obviously you knew I was wrong, you knew it was right, you're just trying to prove you're smarter than me. I can't do that. I can't do that. That is me losing my self-control. And I don't think, and those things have happened. I'll be honest. In these devotionals, I'm human. I make mistakes. I have misquoted. I have read wrong scripture. I have said some things that maybe didn't line up exactly the way in my mind and in the way the Bible did. And we have had very loving Christians point that out to me. And not one time did it get into an argument, and I respect them for that. Now, I try harder each devotional to make sure that things are correct that I'm saying. But again, I have to have that self-control of me not to fly off a handle when my phone goes off, when someone's watched the devotional and I know that I've done something wrong. But that is our temper. what else do we have to have self-control over? I think it's in every aspect of our lives. It's in our eating. We have to have self-control over what we eat, or how much we eat, I should say, because we all know that can cause problems. We have to have self-control over spending money, and this is what I have a hard time with, because like we started Devotional off, Christmas is coming. I like to spoil my kids. Now, it's not like we don't have other people spoiling them too, but I've got to self-control. I've got to scale back on what I want to spend. Like I said, our temper, and a big one for me is disciplining our kids. And there I have learned that if I am mad, if I am stressed, if something else is going on and my kids are acting up, I discipline them a whole lot more or a lot harder if I do spank my children. I know some of y'all are against that. But if I spank them out of anger, I do it a lot harder than if it's something that, hey, they did something wrong. I've been calm. I'm not doing anything. They need to be corrected. Whereas there are times that I feel, and I haven't done it yet, but I could start and not stop. And when I get to that point is when I just walk away. And I've learned that sometimes they can really get under your skin. And I use kids because that's what I'm surrounded with every day, my 2 little ones. What about adults? Do we not have those coworkers? There I go again on coworkers. Do we not have those coworkers that just get under our skin all the time, day in and day out? What about family members? Let's be honest. Do we not have that family member that just, they gripe us, they get under our skin? Where is our self-control in that? Where is our self-control? And so I think self-control is an all-around thing in all areas of our lives, not just in the church, not just, like I said, with our eating, our spending, the way we live, the way we talk, our temper. But speaking of temper, because that's what I think a lot of people go to when we think of self-control. So we're going to talk about that. So we're going to jump to Proverbs 29:11, and it says, "A fool gives full vent to his spirit, but a wise man quietly holds it back." A full vent here means temper. So when it says a fool gives full vent, how about a fool gives his temper to his spirit? But a wise man quickly holds the temper back. If we are a fool, we have no control of our temper. Are you a fool? Now, I've heard some say that this means we can never get angry. I 100% disagree. We can get angry, but it is what we do, what we say when we're angry. We see Jesus got angry when he went into the temple and turned over the tables. But he didn't hurt anybody. He didn't harm anybody. He didn't yell. He just went, did his business. Everybody got the picture. Everybody got the point, and they straightened up. It's okay to get angry. It's not okay to sin in our anger or sin due to our anger. Ephesians 4:26 says, "Be angry and do not sin. Do not let the sun go down on your anger and give no opportunity to the devil." When we get angry, the devil comes in. That is a foothold in, that is a shoe in the door, because he knows you're vulnerable. And so it says, don't let the sun go down on your anger, and do not give this opportunity to the devil. When we get angry, we need to have self-control and not sin. Do we? So as I'm going to close, this one's a little bit shorter this week. So as we close, I want us to think of some things. If I asked you who the perfect person would be, I think most of you all would say the following. Most of us know the kind of person we would like to be. In our minds, we have an image of a truly beautiful Christian personality, one whose life is living a symbol of love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, gentleness, faithfulness, and self-control. This person does the right things at the right time. The right words seem to always come out of their mouth. They are a master of their emotions. But then we look at ourselves, and what do we see? Do we see that? If we're honest, we all need to work on one of the fruits of the Spirit, if not all of them. If you're me, I need to work on all of them. As Christians, we are called to have all of the fruits of the Spirit, not just self-control, not just love, not just kindness, not just joy. We're supposed to have it all. How do we get that? Well, they're the fruit of the Spirit. So they're seeds, right? You plant seeds and they grow. What are the good seeds? Well, let's see. Our right seeds that we need to plant are things that are true, honest, just, pure, lovely, and of good report. Once we plant those good seeds, they're going to produce love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, gentleness, and self-control. And like I said earlier, I know I speak for myself when I say I need to work on all of these. I have not mastered them yet, but I will keep trying daily to be a better Christian. Will you join me in trying to be the best Christian you can be each and every day? And that concludes our series on the fruit of the Spirit. I hope you have enjoyed it. I appreciate all of the feedback I have gotten. Several of you have written and gave me pointers, gave me advice, gave me compliments, and I appreciate it all. And we've talked for, I think we did 9 of them, 9 things that we should do. So now I'm going to turn the table, and I've been thinking about it, and I think our next study is going to be on, I didn't look, I know there's at least 10, but 10 to 13 things we should not do. 13 things Christians should not be. So I did the good part first, and maybe I should have done it backwards. Maybe I should have done all the bad things first and then ended with the good things. But I think that's the study we're going to do. And I know some of the topics was hatred, anger, disgust, things that as Christians we should not be or not have. So hopefully I can get that together, and we will start that, like I said, next week. I hope you'll have a great week and just keep on trying to do these fruits of the Spirit. You're not alone. Everybody is working towards it and doing those things, but ultimately they all make us better Christians, and that's what we want to be. We want to be God's people and good Christians. So I hope you all have a great week, and I will see you all here next week.